of your county play for the love of the game. It's our national game as well, which is a disgrace that way it has been ridiculed and put to the sword by our famous colleges here in Limerick, run by our religious orders with their West British accents and most of them.
Hang on a second now, let's not get into that.
Let's have the facts. This is the fact of the matter. You invited me in here to talk about this. I'm giving you my opinion here. Right.
Absolutely, but I think we can also be respectful to everyone.
We are respectful to everyone.
Well, I think it's important that we are respectful.
We'll put facts out in front of the people too, because they need the facts.
We would absolutely put facts. Then.
Flabbergasted really, Tom. Success breeds success. And, if the Limerick hurling team had been successful, the crowds would follow them. I know I've been to all the Munster matches since they started in the Heineken Cup, and it's been a joy to follow them. It's been a labour of love, because the team perform for the spectators. The spectators feel as if they're at one with the team, because Paul O'Connell and the lads are always welcomed them when they go to the matches. It has become one big happy travelling Red Army, and there's quite a number of GA supporters in recent years who now support the Munster team. And I said fair play to them, because they love the game. They're now getting very much involved in the game. I know it's to the detriment of maybe to the hurling team, the Limerick hurling team. But, Tom, even going back to our time, our younger days, when the band was involved in there, that left a stigma there at that time. And we're all products, as I said in my article in The Independent, we're all products of our own environment. You grew up with a hurley in your hand. I grew up with a rugby ball in my hand. And, you come from that background. Now, Limerick is unique to rugby in as much that in all Ireland, if you go down to Kilkenny, it's all hurling. If you go to Cork, it's more hurling than rugby. But if you go to Dublin, it's anything. If you go to Galway, it's Gaelic games predominantly. If you go to the north, well, you have a big divide in the north. You haven't got a divide down here. The Protestant schools played rugby. The Catholic schools played GAA. But I can't understand why there should be any bickering between the two sides. A friend of mine, he's a journalist over in Cast, and he couldn't understand. He said to me one day, we were in the old Tumen Park, and he just couldn't understand. He said, "What's that ground down there?" And I said, "That's the Gaelic grounds." And he said, "What's the capacity?" I said, "It's around 50,000. He said, "Why can't you play your games down there?" But I said, this is a debate. I said, it'll go on and on. But he thought we were crazy, not pooling our resources. And, it's a pity.
I'm going to give Tom a chance to respond to that, and we have a couple of callers as well, but we just need to take a quick break.
Providing a good local service. Limerick Today on Limerick's Live 95 FM.
Tom Ryan and Lendeneen are with us, and we're debating just about everything, actually. I think religion got a couple of mentions as well there in the middle of it. But we're talking about hurling and rugby and the Grand Slam and all of that. But what about Len's point he was just making before the break there, that the man from Cast looked across at the Gaelic grounds from Thomond Park and went, "Oh my God, 50,000, why aren't you using it for everything?"
Yeah, well, I would be in agreement with the man from Cast and was very supportive of the move to Open Crow Park at all. From the very way before it became an issue, I was talking about, and I would open every pitch in the country to other codes and other sports and athletics, and I have no problem with that at all. And that's a situation for the Limerick County Board to answer. I think it's really a disgrace that there's had to be a new stadium built. That's I'm coming across there quite clearly in there.
Can I ask one other question, Tom? Len mentioned there, the support base comes, and maybe particularly in Limerick City and County these days, there seems to be support for the Limerick hurlers from the rugby community and vice versa. A lot of the GA people would go as well. But would it not also be the case that a lot of youngsters are playing every sport?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't agree with that either. Limerick City is predominantly rugby and soccer, and the schools are predominantly rugby. All our major schools are all rugby schools, and they wouldn't let hurl inside the gate like it is to be considered an offensive weapon. Our national game doesn't come into it, or our heritage or our culture they don't come into it at all. Limerick also, there's also a huge anti-GA.
Is that not a narrow definition of what Irish culture is, though, the one you've just given?
No, it's only part of our Irish culture. It's like our music, our traditional music. You have no traditional music here on this station, but then again, you're a foreign station as well, you see. You see, so our Irish culture consists of our music, Tom, our language, our games, and our people.
I should say, I'm I'm as much a Limerick man as you are. Len is as much a Limerick man as you are.
I didn't say you were a Limerick man, Tom, but we're all Irishmen as well, you see. We have to promote our Irish culture, our Irish heritage and our Irishness. Yeah. We need to promote that in every sphere. No, we needn't ape after the British all the time. Like. Yeah. We can have our own say. Now,
as a matter of passing interest, do you consider the north part of Ireland?
Oh, I do, yeah.
Our ownership is vested in the north of Ireland, so.
So
we can argue politics all day, but if you could actually just get back to the subject of.
Well, the subject, matter here is, you see, our base here, the base of the youth, and their parents, there is a limited support for the GA in Limerick City. Actually, in fact, there'd be a huge anti-GA in Limerick City. It's a garrison town, and that's gone back to the British. We have no support outside in the North Settler Road. We have no support in Cork. All those effluent there, they don't support there. They wouldn't be associated with the GA. Okay. They couldn't be up enough for them.
Tom, what about the back of the monument? You know, the back of the monument, Carey's Road, Young Munster, the Bombing Field, Toman, they're all working class areas, and they're great supporters of rugby down through the years. But when I stand up for the national anthem, be it Lansdowne Road or Croke Park, when the Irish rugby team are playing, and I sing Ora Naveen, I'm a proud Irishman.
But you're begrudging the Irish anthem. You have another song made up for the Irish anthem, sure, the rugby ILFU, haven't you? Ireland's Call.
No, there's a problem there, I agree with you.
Yeah, what's the problem?
The problem is, you see, it's a 32-county Ireland.
Yeah.
And the problem with the northern lads, away from home, they bring in Ireland's Call. That's a debate I don't agree with. I think we should have our national anthem abroad.
Of course we should.
Yeah. We have on the line, we're hoping to TJ Ryan actually as well, who's our analyst for hurling matches, those matches that we don't do, Tom. And we'll talk to Jeff Moylan, who of course is steeped in rugby. Jeff, good morning to you.
Morning, Joe.
What do you make of this debate, Jeff?
Well, I think the last comment about Tom about the North Settler Road and the GA is absolute rubbish. Were our school reach not in the semi-final, or lucky not to be in the final of the Harty Cup this year? Number one, is JFK and Christ the King and Carlavan not the two primary sources of young hurlers and footballers for Limerick City and particularly the Piershick? Like, you've got to get a bit of balance on this. Like, this country is a democracy, and we're entitled to, send the officers into the schools to give the kids the choice of whether they want to play GA or rugby, or certainly play both up to a certain age. And, I think, he's got to get a bit of balance of what he's saying if he wants people to believe him.
You might be listening to me too clearly there, Jeff. I didn't mention anything about kids. I mentioned about the supporters. I mentioned about the people that live in the North Settler Road. And they don't all go to our school reach either. So, let's cut out the pettiness out of it.
The only thing I'll agree with you in, Tom, is that I do agree that the Munster supporting has gone out of hand. I will accept that as a rugby man through and through, as a club man through and through. I think that it's gone, it is gone out of hand. But having said that, I think the difference is that the rugby scenario now are being run by professional people, and I think that the GA is still a very amateurish. We know it's amateur on the pitch, but it's also very amateurish off the pitch. And I think the GA need a bit of a shake-up at grassroots to take on what they perceive as an enemy sport. But I'd say to you, Tom, the biggest enemies of the GA are soccer and computer games. And I think any sport that can get kids particularly out onto the pitches playing whatever, and giving them a choice of whether it's rugby or hurling or football or whatever, that's the way forward.
Tom?
Yeah, I would agree that the sport and the rail sport is very, very important, and especially now in these times with the school curriculum being changed, and a lot of has to within the schools itself, Jeff. But to be honest about it, our young people, and probably the economic climate at the moment might drive us in that direction now, more involved in sport at we say young age, like going at the national school. But then when you go to the secondary school, and here in Limerick, the GA supporters have much of a chance, because they're all overridden by rugby dominated schools, and so we are under serious competition there, and I think it's unfair competition as well, because when you go back and you speak about the Munster situation, you talk about a fully professionalised operation with huge millions and millions invested in it, and that it has worked. Their programme has worked. They're very slick marketing.
The GA isn't poor now, Tom.
Well, the GA is not poor, but I mean...
No, it isn't poor.
What the GA is different. You see, we don't pay people. We don't pay coaches. We don't pay